What's going on, everybody? David Feldman-Makrias back with you again, and I have a special guest, Seth.
Hello.
And Joe. But he's not really paying attention. So Seth and I want to talk to you about something. This is something that has come out, in the last month and a half we've seen, right?
About.
It's October 9th. So, I just did a quick search. Chevy Equinox for sale near me, Oak Brook Terrace, and what we see is, these are new Chevy Equinoxes, by the way. So for VLAs, what we see is, we have a green price here, $27,725, and then an MSRP of $31,075 for this store, Bill K. Chevrolet in Lisle. And as you can see, there are green prices all over the place, and that is the discounted price pulling from the website. The only example that's not like that is this black price, which is basically black because it's the same as the MSRP. So green shows the discount. So now that VLAs are showing discounts, our segmentation strategy changes a little bit, and that's what Seth's going to talk about in a minute. We were actually prompted by a dealer saying, hey, how do we showcase our best priced inventory first and more exclusively? So now we're not only showcasing, we have to go after Equinox or we have to go after a specific model, but how can we make sure we're showing the best priced Equinox on VLAs? I'm going to pass it over to Seth. He's going to show some magic in some spreadsheets and kind of walk us through exactly how he set that up. So, what you got?
So, the brute force way to do this would be to utilize VINs, right? So find the cars that you know are priced the best, plug in those VINs into your campaigns. But that would be a pain in the butt. You'd have to change it every single time you sold a car. You would have to manually check that every single time. And frankly, nobody has time for that. So we went and looked through all of our feed attributes and found that we could do it automatically. So we can put in some criteria based on what exactly we wanted to see in the output, and then utilize that to make a custom campaign that is pushing all of the best value or best priced vehicles, so the vehicles that have the biggest off MSRP. In doing that, we also wanted to exclude some specific trims. So for Ford, for example, which is what this example sheet has, we wanted to exclude our Raptor trims based on they usually get too much search volume and not enough people buying. But
yeah, for Chrysler, just to tidbit as an example, this month one dealer's got $23,000 off a Hellcat Durango. So obviously, in Seth's scenario, that's going to be the winner for the vehicle that's got the biggest discount, but not everybody wants to see a Durango or a Hellcat Durango first if they're just looking for Durango. That's a specialty car. So,
yep. So the idea here is then to create a custom label that allows us to set an attribute in Merchant Center that we can select in Google Ads just as to quickly say, okay, in this campaign, we want to choose our highest savings vehicles. So here, this very simply is just has a list of VINs on the first column here, and it's appending on custom label 4, highest savings. So that way, when I go and build the campaign, I can just check the box, and it's filtering in all of those cars that have the highest savings. So as for how we're achieving that, first we're importing the raw file into our Google Sheet here. This is done because our feed source that we use is published to a CSV on a website. So it's on a link that you can download the CSV from. If you're using SFTP, for example, this would be a little bit trickier.
Quick tidbit on that. Not all feed files are created equal. We're learning that as we go and help other people consult with feed setup. So like Seth mentioned, CSV file is the way that we're able to do this. That's because the feed provider we work with has, customized the solution or, makes it a little bit easier for us to do. So if you're using something like vAuto, Full Path, or something else, you may have to have a different feed provider if you're looking for something like this, right?
Yeah, possible. It really depends on a case-by-case basis, but luckily with the provider that we use, it makes these custom kind of formulas and whatnot work pretty easily. So here's the raw file that comes in from that CSV. Up here in this first cell would be import function, but for the sake of this example, I just pasted in some sample data. But you would import it into the sheet here. At least that's how we built it. And here we can see we have our price attribute and our MSRP attribute. You can see there's some differences in here. So cool. We want to find the best ones for each model. So the best off MSRPs for each model. Before we get to that, actually, though, the standardizer, I use as a standard practice in all of my build outs. And more or less, it's using formulas to make sure that if the data comes in differently, so if the raw file changes, like if the order of the columns changes or if something changes in there, it won't break the formulas. It doesn't happen a lot, but sometimes it could. But this way with the standardizer sheet, you're making sure.
Standardizer.
Yeah, you're making sure that everything's coming in where you're expecting it to. So this way it's looking, each of these cells is looking for the specific header. And so it's pulling in the right data into the right column so that we can utilize this sheet to filter everything. So more or less what this is doing is first filtering out all of our high-level trims that we don't want to include in this. So here are just some examples. We're filtering out the Raptor, the SRT Hellcat, the Hellcat, or SRT 392. There's a bunch more that you can filter in here specific to your brand, whatever would work there. But this is, again, just some examples. Of course, there's no Hellcats for Ford, but for example's sake, it's here. And that's filtering it over into this column or this set of columns here. And then we're filtering it once more to find, of those that we're looking through, what are the best ones based on the savings column over here. Savings being what's the number between MSRP and price, like what's the difference. So this custom formula with a query spits out those vehicles. And so here we get one, or if there's multiple vehicles with the same savings number, it'll give you all of them. You could set this up so that it only returns one of them, but it doesn't make a huge difference to us. If it's got the same number off, we'd like to push it as well. So it's giving us all of the models that are in here and that have the highest savings. From there, we throw it over here into our first sheet, and this is the one that's connected to the feed through the secondary feed rule and whatnot. And each of these VINs gets appended this label. Now, that doesn't mean your campaign has to have all of these vehicles in it. So I, in this campaign, don't want to advertise the F450s Super Duties or the F350 Super Duties or the Transits. And that's okay, because within Google Ads, you can also segment by the model. You can segment by all the other things that you normally would. So I'm segmenting by, if it has this label here, highest savings, that's number one. And then of those, I only want to look at the Explorers, the Rangers, the F-150s, the Edges, and the Escapes, let's say, for example. But if I wanted to change that by having those all in there already, if I wanted to include maybe our commercial stuff in a separate campaign by, again, highest off MSRP, we could pretty easily do that without having to make many changes on this end.
So this best deal finder sheet gives you all the different model availability of what the best deal is, but in the actual campaigns, you're not actually advertising for Rangers. Is that basically what you're saying?
You would be advertising for Rangers in that instance.
Because it's all $700.
Right, because each of these is $700 off MSRP. You could change this formula so that it only returns one.
Okay.
If you wanted to. But at the current build that we had, it wasn't necessary.
Okay, got it. Interesting. So that's under the hood. Is there anything else?
No, that's pretty much it.
That's under the hood. Now that's some complex Excel styled formulaic, functions and approach, a very logical approach that's actually going to allow our clients automatically to, advertise their best price vehicles. I would say, you could duplicate Seth's functions, but it's going to take some trickery and some effort to do that. If you have any necessity for this, if you'd like to see this in your campaigns and currently aren't, put some comments in this video. We'd be happy to consult and help in any way possible, and then go from there. But I really like that. And it actually leads me one question.
Sure.
So you got a savings column or a savings output here.
Yeah.
Can we make that show up here somewhere? Uh-oh. I clicked too fast.
At the moment, not to my knowledge, because I mean, of course, Google's the owner of that ad space, and they kind of dictate how it's going to show. I would love to be able to.
Do we know for certain that we can't?
Don't know 100% for certain. I bet you could throw it in the title because we've done some tricky stuff like that before.
You could?
Maybe. I feel like I'm going to regret mentioning that.
Yeah. Oh, we got to try that. All right.
But in that case, though, like most of the time, the title doesn't even show the full length of the title, unless maybe if you click on the vehicle. Yeah, if you hover, okay, that could be cool.
Oh, he's instantly regretting that he said that.
Again, don't know if that would be approved. Don't know if it's going to get your vehicles denied or whatnot, but it's, I guess, worth the test.
You would have to put the price in the title of the actual car.
You'd have to put the savings in the title of the actual car, which that would be. I could probably think of a way to do that. It'd be tricky. Oh man.
So because I saw that thing,
you're only wanting to do it for the cars that have the best off MSRP, so that way people don't have to do math here.
I would just want to see if it's possible, and it doesn't get disapproved. And
so
if
find a dealership that's wanting to be edgy, and we can test it.
Well, all the dealers we work with want to be edgy. It sparks the interest because I saw a dealer with Car Bravo in the title, and that actually came on the VLA. So, and it didn't get disapproved.
Yeah, we've had a bunch of things come through the title that I thought would get it disapproved that didn't. One of our use cases was a dealer that had designations of commercial vehicles in all caps. So like the brand of the upfitter and the specific upfit. So if it's like a dump truck, it had dump truck in all caps appended to the title, which normally all caps, anything in Google Ads gets you disapproved, but they are running.
Yeah, and it didn't show all caps in the title, though. It showed proper case, right?
No, that's because I fixed it. Thinking it would get disapproved. Yeah, it shows as all caps in the title.
On VLAs, really?
Yeah. I had done some, again, Excel trickery to make it show proper case, thinking that it would get it disapproved, and I didn't want my entire feed to go down overnight.
Yeah. So, are you going to teach any Google Sheets courses?
I mean, if there's a need, if there's a want, if there's a desire.
If there's a need, yeah. Most people will go, no, just do it for me. That's what I do. Anyways, all right, thank you guys. If there's any comments about this, about making sure your best price vehicles are advertised as the highest, most priority on VLAs, or anything else with Google Ads, leave us some comments. We'd be happy to chime in, see what we can do, and help get you where you need to be. Thanks so much. You want to say thank you?
Thank you.